Alrighty, let's fucking bang out some Slayer. Yo, Cujo, what's up, big dog? How you doing? Dark Totem Top. Well, if that ain't the way to start the day, I don't know what the fuck is, bud. If that ain't the way to start the day right there for the Slayer OSRS grind, I don't know what is. Let's see some good droppage here. Maybe a little, what's it called there? Superior action, you know? Low key today, I want to do a little bit of Slayer. But I also want to, I want to go do the, mini game for fletching because I want to try and get the fletching knife. I would like to try and get the fletching knife today because the fletching knife just makes the Winter Todd grind so much more enjoyable because I can actually sit there and, like, fletch super fast and get, like, tons of XP. And then I'll probably go do that. I'll probably sit at Winter Todd until I get a fucking Tome of Fire. Probably go sit at Winter Todd till I can get a Tome of Fire. Loki. Veil totems? Yeah, Valve totems. Veil totems. I always call them Valve. Veil totems, yeah. So I'll do a few Slayer tasks and then I'll go do Veil totems for like 8 hours or something. The Gold Veilers. Rocky, baby. Oh, hi. Oh, hello, Mr. Handsome. Do my toes taste good or something? Didn't get it to drop? Yeah, that's probably what I'll end up having to do too, to be honest with you. That is more than likely what will end up happening to me, my man. I've opened a decent amount too. I got like 25,000 fucking maple logs. So, I mean, should be alright. Should be alright, skis, you know? Hopefully, anyway. Yo, someone in chat, do the thing! Do the thing! Someone in chat, do the thing! If you know what I'm saying. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. If you know, you know, and Cujo certainly fucking knows. If you know, you know, and Cujo definitely fucking knows. Cheers, gentlemen. Don't worry, I'll toke for you. Hi. Yo, Snaw, what's up? The Snaw. Insane Slayer grind, Shawnee boy. You got that right. Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Morning. How you doing, boys? Rocky says good morning, boys. Oh. I got a gaming laptop, so it overheats easily, but one I got right now, max fan speeds are 13... 4K. Holy, dude, that's insane. That's crazy. Full power? Yeah, dude. I'm lucky because my daughter, she likes to sleep in a little bit, you know? She likes to sleep into like 9 o'clock on her days off and shit. Which I'm not opposed to, you know what I mean? $80 for the fucking docking station for your laptop? That's pretty crazy. That's pretty expensive. That shit better come with some powerful ass fucking fans, dude. That's pretty cool. What kind of gaming laptop did you get? You hope it's good? Oh, it's gonna be fantastic, dude. The wait will be worth it. The wait will be worth it. Don't you worry. It'll be fantastic. Is your gaming laptop? I've had it for like 2 years. Oh, okay, okay. Feel that. Feel that. My buddy actually just upgraded all the RAM and shit into his PC. He's super stoked over that. Rightfully so. You know what's crazy? They say there's like this shortage on RAM, so there's going to be a shortage on memory. All they're doing is making it so that like people buy cloud saving. Like all they're trying to do is manipulate the market into making it so that everyone just uses cloud fucking memory. That way people have to pay for it. Constant subscriptions, you know what I mean? There's no shortage whatsoever. They're just fucking scamming us. Because of their small, thin design, so it overheats easily. Fair enough. I mean, it's probably super portable, though. Like, you can take that shit anywhere, you know what I mean? Can you stop licking my fucking nipple? You freak. My dog's, like, casually just sitting here licking my tit. I just said that and he goes at me. Like, no. My dog's fucked, dude. You remind him of his mommy? Yeah, I got those big old bazookas, dude. Sean, do you have gifted members turned on? Sean, you have gifted members, Sean? Yeah, click on these 3 dots right here. Make sure you got them bitches turned on. Because, like, I gift so many subs and I never see you get them. And you're in here all the time. It should, like, one of them should have gone to you. No kizzy. That's fucked. Yo, Ragnarok. Yo, what's up, dude? Yeah, I get 10 free gifted to give away every month. What else you need? Facts, dude. Facts, dude. Said, what else could the man need? Yo, yo, smoke, smoke. What's good? What's good in the hood, baby? Poppin', yeah, I just ripped the tug. I'm cheech. Today, I gotta take everything, like, I gotta take all the stuff off of my desk, like, disassemble my setup here, and then put it all out into the hallway, take my bed, stick it into the other room there, and then I'm gonna do, like, a nice, like, clean in my room here. Clean everything. Take everything off the shelves, dust. Probably do that around like noon, 1 o'clock. Some good deep cleaning, yeah. Exactly. Melee Dust Devils? I don't have the runes for it, bro. I just bought the Onyx. I don't have any runes. I'm too lazy to go buy them. Trust me, it's not what I wanted to be doing. I literally sat there contemplating whether to do this last night for fucking like 10 minutes. Not even like maybe a little bit longer even actually. I did a whole ass like farm run just contemplating whether I actually wanted to do melee fucking Dust Devils or not. Oh, Rocky. You're being such a baby recently, eh? You're being such a big baby. Yeah, you're being such a baby. Dude, just die, homie. My god. Die, motherfucker. Four more. Oh, Rocky. There are 87 more of these bitches. What's up, rocks? What are the odds that my highest level would be my HP? What are the odds? Never tell me the odds. Yeah, I know, but I've done so much farming, it feels like I felt like that would be my first. Daily tree runs and shit. I thought that would be my first. For sure. I figured it would be a skill of some sort for sure. Damn. Yo, Square, what's up, buddy? How you doing? What are you up to today? You got classes today? Duck my kisses. You don't know how people get it so fast? Bro, I did Huey Codal. I got so many seeds and shit. Like, I went through like 300 fucking Lantodime, 600 Lantodime seeds. Yeah. Chillin'. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Peace. Dylan, school's over. You graduated then? Gotta go enjoy the day. Yo, you have a good day at work, Cujo. Stay safe out there, brother. Stay safe out there, my dude. That's my boy Rocky. Oh, my boy. Yeah, the gemstone crab's how I'll train my defense as well. Honestly. That's how I'll be training my fucking defense as well, brother. Trust me. I'm not training strength and attack. Defense, eh. First right now comes 99 strength, though. You know? That's my boy. Eh? No superiors this whole time. Yeah, do you think, Shiny Boy? I'll talk to you later, eh? You have a good day. Stay safe out there. What's up, bud? What's up, Rocks? KO. Be about an hour or two. Alright, brother. I might be on, might be off. Hard to say. Whoa. Three stepping rocks. Jesus. Guy just steps all over me, dude. $8,392. Alrighty. So heal. Shit. Pray. Grab these fucking poison berries. OG stacks. Alien, brother. Yawn. What do we get for task? Spiritual creatures. How did I know? Okay, great. I have 1 point. Spiritual creatures, bruh. He'll take that. I'll take Super Restore. I'll take Rune Pet. And then inventory. Slayer Helm. Yo. Alright. Come on. Inside. I'm back, baby. I should have brought the fucking. Should have brought the Bell's Folly instead of this garbage. In for a fat one. Let's go. They're all just ganging up on this guy over here. It's not cool.
It's pretty apparent that the golden age of arcades was dominated by pixels. In 1983, a revolutionary new type of game was released that looked less like a video game and more like a Saturday morning cartoon brought to life. Powered by Laserdisc and featuring stunning hand-drawn animation, Dragon's Lair arrived and changed the visual landscape of the arcade forever. What's up, adventurers, and welcome back to another episode of Arcade Economy, the show where we deep dive into classic arcade games to determine just how much they would have cost to beat in the year of their release. In my last episode, we took a look at Taito's Superman the Arcade game. Today, we're heading to Mordrock's castle to make our way to the Dragon's Lair. How much did it cost to guide the heroic yet clumsy Dirk the Daring to victory back in 1983? We're gonna find out.
Dragon's Lair, the fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon. You control the actions of a daring adventurer finding his way through the castle of a dark wizard who has enchanted it with treacherous monsters and obstacles. In the mysterious caverns below the castle, your odyssey continues against the awesome forces that oppose your efforts to reach the Dragon's Lair. Lead on, adventurer. Your quest awaits.
In the early 80s, inventor and founder of RDI Video Systems, Rick Dyer, had been obsessed with creating what he called a fantasy machine, trying to move beyond text to bring illustrated stories to life. His early prototypes used everything from paper tapes to film strips. He was a man with a vision, but he needed a technological leap. And he found it after seeing Sega's Astron Belt, a game that used Laserdisc to project a video background. Laserdisc could hold vast amounts of data and would be vital in the execution of Dyer's concept. The technology allowed for full motion video, making every other game in the arcade look like a cave painting by comparison. All he needed now was the artistry. He needed a master animator to create something no one had ever seen in the arcade before. Enter Don Bluth. Bluth was a former Disney animator who worked on classics like Robin Hood, The Rescuers, and The Fox and the Hound. Bluth would resign from Disney in the early 80s to create his own animation studio with his first feature-length film, The Secret of Nim, releasing in 1982. Although the film was critically acclaimed, it was considered only a moderate success at the box office. After watching The Secret of Nim, Rick Dyer was blown away and knew he needed Bluth for the project. Bluth and his team were hungry to prove themselves, and a partnership with Dyer was formed. For a then staggering budget of over $1 million for the animation alone, Bluth's studio would hand-draw every single frame for Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair released into arcades in June of 1983, and the result was a pop culture atom bomb. Lines formed around the block, and kids and adults, both mesmerized by the cartoon quality, poured quarters into the machine. Dragon's Lair was a smash hit, and provided a boost to the arcade industry during the 1983 console crash. However, the game was not without its issues. The Laserdisc players inside the cabinets weren't built for the constant frantic seeking that the game demanded, and so they broke down, constantly. And arcade owners who had paid a premium for the machines were left with expensive repair fees. This didn't slow the game down though, as Dragon's Lair continued to have proven success for years to come. Of course, with this kind of success, a flood of ports to home computers and consoles was inevitable, but if you wanted the true Dragon's Lair experience at home, you were out of luck for a pretty long time. The early 8-bit ports were ambitious. In 1986, home computer versions tried their best, but looked more like a fever dream of the arcade game. The NES port released in 1990 was a slow, clunky, side-scrolling platformer that had almost nothing to do with the original. The pixel art was some of the best of the time, but the game itself was a bait and switch, selling you on a famous name and giving you a completely different and frankly terrible game. Other platformer adaptations were released for Game Boy in 1991 and the SNES in 1993. It wasn't until the CD-ROM era with the Sega CD, 3DO, and PCs that home players could get something close to the arcade version. But even then, due to hardware limitations, the video was compressed, the colors were muddy, and the experience just wasn't the same. The 2001 Game Boy Color version of the game is a relatively faithful rendition of the game, and as far as handhelds go, it's an extremely impressive port. A sequel, Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp, did eventually appear in arcades in 1991. It was even more beautiful with longer and more complex scenes, but by then the novelty had worn off, the world had moved on, and the Laserdisc game was seen as a relic. It wouldn't be until 2002's Dragon's Lair 3D that players could control Dirk the Daring in a fully realized 3D environment. The game included many callbacks to the original, and it's a pretty solid platformer that was met with mixed reception. The original Dragon's Lair has been re-released and remastered for HD, and is still available on multiple online game store platforms. Dragon's Lair's story is pretty simplistic and explained through the narrator in the game's Attract mode. Princess Daphne is being held captive in the lair of Singe the Dragon. It's up to Dirk the Daring to avoid obstacles and enemies as he fights his way through Mordrock's castle to reach the dragon's lair, slay the dragon, and save the princess. When Dragon's Lair released, it was way ahead of its time. It isn't really a game of skill in the traditional sense, it's more a game of memorization. There's no health bar or power-ups, and you don't control Dirk. Instead, you make decisions for him at very specific moments by pressing a direction on the joystick or pressing the sword button to attack. It's the grandfather of the QuickTime event well before they were popularized by games like Shenmue, Resident Evil 4,
God of War,
Heavy Rain, and most of the Telltale Games franchises. If you choose the wrong direction or make an input at the wrong time, a death scene will show and you'll lose a life. Because of its visual appeal, Dragon's Lair was one of the first games to charge 50 cents in the arcade, and depending on the arcade operator, that 50 cents would traditionally get you 3 or 5 lives. There are a total of 39 scenes a player must pass in order to beat the game, and they range from a couple of seconds for the shorter scenes to almost a full minute for the longer ones. The scenes play in a random order, with the last scene being the Dragon's Lair. The game does throw some curveballs at you, with some scenes being mirrored and the timing slightly changed between them. So just when you think you have a scene down, you'll get hit with a mirrored version and different timings completely throwing you off. And much of the game isn't very intuitive. Some scenes will have blinking objects or doorways telling the player which direction they should push, but some don't have this at all, making the game an unparalleled exercise in trial and error punishment. Some items or blinking prompts are also put into the game as traps. Drinking the potion in the wizard's kitchen is just one example of this. It's up to the user to fail on these and remember not to do this the next time around. I like to think of Dragon's Lair as an early QTE roguelike game. Anyone playing the game will need to fail and die in order to remember the patterns to progress. And of all the scenes, there were a few scenes that really stuck out to me that were harder than others and took me a lot longer to master. The Twirling Boulders room can be mirrored, and it's sometimes hard to initially tell which version of the scene you're in. The timing for passing the Twirling Boulders is different in both scenes, so I found it best to use the audio cues from Dirk to tell which scene I was in. If you hear Dirk say, "ooh, ooh," twice, then you'll need to press up right after the second "ooh." If Dirk goes "ooh, ah, ah," then after the second "ah," you need to push up as Dirk starts extending his hand. The earthquake room was a little tough because it required a lot of inputs, and sometimes I was just too slow to enter them when I was learning that scene. It also didn't help that this scene popped up kind of later in the gameplay, so it took me a while to get familiar with it. It's also a scene that can be mirrored, throwing a wrench in my progress. Then there's the Mudmen. This one definitely took me the longest to master, and I think a part of my soul is still trapped in this scene. Timing on this one has to be precise, and at first I was really unsure of what to even do. When the Mudmen attack you, you'll have to use your sword button, then press up just as Dirk sheathes his sword. You'll then have to be patient and press up after a few blinking prompts, and up on some areas without prompts, making this scene really confusing to get down. I got to the Dragon's Lair 4 times before I was able to pass it and complete the game, so to me, the Dragon's Lair was definitely not the hardest scene to pass. And with the gameplay aside, I just wanted to pause for a second and just express how gorgeous this game is. It is such a beautifully hand-drawn game, and with the Laserdisc technology, it not only looks great, but it also sounds great too, and it's really easy to see how this game attracted people in the 80s. I also feel like if you played this game and were good at it, it would be a sight to see in the 80s, and I'm sure a lot of onlookers would be very impressed. And now, it's time to answer the question, how much did I spend to beat Dragon's Lair? As I have been doing in the series, I play these games on their default settings, and I set up a counter to increase every time I hit the insert coin button. Dragon's Lair defaults to 50-cent credits per 3 lives, and easy difficulty. There is no medium difficulty in Dragon's Lair, and easy is actually anything but for those who are interested, Dragon's Lair difficulty settings do look like this. Easy, easy hard after 9 scenes, easy hard after 5 scenes, easy very hard after 9, easy very hard after 5, hard, and very hard. The differences in these difficulties are more precise timings, and some scenes require more button presses. It took me a whopping 5 hours and 4 different play sessions to beat Dragon's Lair. The total cost came out to $33. Now in 1983, $33 would feel like spending $106.98 today. So while $33 is actually not the highest amount spent on this series so far, that honor goes to Contra, $106.98 is the highest we've seen for inflation-adjusted cost. My cost per minute was only 11 cents, which gradually reduced over time as I got better at the game and more used to the patterns. You know, my first hour I played, I think I spent like $12.50, which factors out to around 20 cents per minute. So as I got better and I was progressing longer and the scenes were going on longer, this number just shot down. There aren't really any bosses in this game, and to be perfectly honest, if I went to see how much I spent per scene, to sift through the 5 hours of footage would just take me forever, and that's just something that I'm not going to do. But I can tell you that since it took me 4 attempts at the Dragon's Lair to finally beat the game, I did spend $2 in the Dragon's Lair. So how predatory was Dragon's Lair in stealing your money? I think we kind of all know where this is going, but let's break it down a bit and throw it into the equation. Total inflationary cost is the highest we've seen in this series so far, but cost per minute is also the lowest we've seen in this series so far. But I think we need to throw an asterisk into that because that's due to my extremely long playtime. For the game cheating or input reading or unfair programming, I think for the most part it doesn't really apply to Dragon's Lair. The only thing that I think might kind of fit in this category is the traps that the game throws at you, prompting you to do something only for you to die. I think if you're playing this as a first time, you're not going to know what's a trap and what's not. It's impossible to know that. So yeah, I guess that is a little cheap. The punitive game mechanics are pretty severe, especially as someone who's playing for the first time. I think you can see that in my very long playthrough. It's just not really an intuitive game. For the one more try appeal, I mean, I was hooked, but I'm also trying to beat this game. This was a game that, for me, got pretty addictive. Even after I beat the game, I did go back to play it some more. I even bought the Steam version so that I could play it in bed after I had already beat it for Arcade Economy. So that kind of bleeds into my fun factor too, that I did have a really good time with this game. However, I could see someone playing this game for the first time and not really understanding how it works and getting frustrated and just kind of walking away. But because the game was so popular for so long and because there were people lined up to watch people play, I do think this has a one more try appeal of people going into the game and, you know, playing in multiple play sessions. And just a reminder that the whole purpose of this series was to see how much it would cost to beat a game on the day that that game arrives in the arcade. So you really have no former experience with this game. You're not sure of the skills. To do that with Dragon's Lair, I think is nearly impossible. I think you do need to play through multiple play sessions to get the feel for it, to understand some of the patterns. And unless you had very deep pockets and a lot of time when this game released, I don't think you'd be beating this game the day it released in arcade. So while I had fun with this game, and yes, it was frustrating at times, and while I don't notice any like obvious cheating from the game, that is going to factor into the predatory game scale equation. I was actually surprised with its predatory game score, throwing this all into my equation, and Dragon's Lair received a predatory game score of a 9 out of 10. I almost feel like Dragon's Lair should be a 10. I mean, it was 50 cents in 1983. A lot of people threw money in not knowing how to play or what they were doing and immediately lost their money. It feels like it checks the boxes of a 10. So while technically on the scale and the equation it's a 9, I think this could also be like a dishonorable 10. Next time on Arcade Economy, I'm playing through Konami's 1990 run and gun Aliens the Arcade Games, so be sure to check out that one. As always, if you liked this video, it would mean a great deal to me if you
Episode 3 is here. Welcome to Movie Flame, I'm Morgan Ross, and today I'm going to do what I've been doing since the show started. Break the episode down, point out Easter eggs, compare the episodes to the story in the books, and just give my thoughts and review it. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these Percy Jackson videos. And you can also follow me on Instagram, where I've been posting interviews with the cast when I met them on set, and I'll be posting other cool content, like my live reactions to the show. But now, let's start breaking this episode down. So the episode is called We Board the Princess Andromeda, which is taken right from the title of Chapter 8 of the Sea of Monsters book. Right away, we see some cool details in the attic of the big house, like the manticore horn that Percy ripped off when he first arrived at camp in season 1. And of course, we see the Oracle. Also, just some backstory and lore on the Oracle. Being the Oracle was passed down from person to person as they die. But this specific Oracle is a dead corpse because of a punishment that Hades gave her. She foretold the Great Prophecy, which is a big topic in this episode and which we'll talk about as we go. But this prophecy led to the love of Hades' life, Maria D'Angelo, dying. And she's actually the mother of Nico and Bianca D'Angelo, who we'll see next season. But Hades, blaming the Oracle for Maria's death, said that he was going to destroy her. But the Oracle said that he would not be able to do that. So instead, Hades made her not be able to pass on to another host. And so, she remained the Oracle after she died. Now, we never actually saw Clarice go up to the attic. It wasn't until much later in the book that she told Percy what the Oracle said. I think it's absolutely hilarious and so on brand that Clarice cut the Oracle's head off. Seeing Clarice herself appear to tell herself the prophecy is a great detail, because it shows how full of herself she is. The prophecy is word for word from the book.
You shall sail the iron ship with warriors of bone. You shall find what you seek, and make it your own. But despair for your life, entombed within stone, and fail.
But the final line is cut off, which is, and fail without friends to fly home alone. This last line will probably pay off later in the season, and it's a good detail to highlight because she of course decides not to choose anyone to go with her. We have another moment with Clarice and Chris, who in the book end up together. When Tantalus says she needs a companion, she immediately looks at Chris, who had actually low-key rejected her last episode. Also, Chris being the only one not wearing a Camp Half-Blood shirt could allude to his betrayal later on in the season. In the novels, he had actually been introduced as already part of Luke's army, so I would not be surprised if he betrays the camp at the end of this season. The Princess Andromeda looks amazing, and thank God we actually got a cruise ship and not some tiny yacht like in the god-awful Sea of Monsters movie. Somehow, Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson go from the bottom of the ship to climbing on board many stories high. I kinda wish they showed us how they did that, because it could have been a cool moment to show Percy's insane water powers, possibly shooting them up. We also get a mention of Percy being dry already, while Tyson is still wet.
Are you dry already? Here.
And this is an awesome detail, because one of Percy's many powers is being able to not get wet while underwater. On the TV, when I first watched this, I immediately noticed the scythe in the top left corner. Oh, yo, the scythe. Hold up. Go back. Right there. That is a scythe, dude. The sign of Kronos. This was a little hint to the big reveal that this was Kronos' ship, which we later see on the cruise card and on the flag. And the scythe was also brought up in the first episode, as Sally Jackson had a dream about it.
On one side, a trident. On the other, a scythe.
Kronos.
I love the code word boon that Percy and Annabeth use.
If you see me doing something that leans in a bad direction, you stop me with a code word.
A code word.
Yeah, I was thinking boon.
Because in Greek mythology, boon means a divine favor or blessing by a god to a mortal. That was a cool little detail. Percy and Annabeth's relationship in this episode is interesting, as Annabeth is conflicted and wants to tell Percy the prophecy, which Chiron of course forbid her to do. But Percy consoles her, saying that she doesn't have to tell him. Getting to see more of Clarice was a treat, because none of this was in the book. They're of course expanding several character stories for this season, Clarice being one of the main ones. experience. Another treat was seeing Ares return, who we saw in season 1 several times. Right away, the cruelty he shows Clarice is on full display, just like in the book.
Humble's for losers. Get up.
He continuously talks down both to her and about her.
She is woefully inexperienced.
Seeing her bow her head when her father shows little confidence in her really humanizes Clarice. Then seeing Ares threaten her was what really got me.
Because you know what'll happen to you if you fail.
The soldiers that come with the CSS Birmingham are changed from the books. In the book, they were all Confederate soldiers, but the show updates that problematic depiction by expanding the crew to all armies that have been defeated in battle and owe a debt of service to Ares. And Dior, who plays Clarice, said that this was a very tasteful improvement to Clarice's crew. The crew is filled with all sorts of different soldiers from all different time periods. We have a Roman soldier, a Japanese Imperial soldier, a British soldier, a French soldier, what looks like a Soviet naval soldier, a Viking, an old school naval sailor, a Revolutionary War soldier, and I think a medieval European soldier based on the helmet, which apparently is called a bassinet helmet, which medieval European soldiers wear. And then there's Mitch, a Blockbuster employee, and here's my live reaction to this. Hold up. Bro, you're joking. Is that a Blockbuster tag? Are you serious? I hope they explain this later, because if they don't, that's just gonna be so random.
I am Torvald.
Oh, what's up, Mitch?
Mitch.
In what battle didst thou fall?
Oh, Streaming Wars. Pretty ugly at the end there.
And you can see more of these live reactions on Instagram if you want. The crew not taking Clarice seriously while out at sea is another thing that really humanizes her and also makes you feel for her. And that's something that wasn't really the case in the book. And then we see her character growth as she finally takes command. And this scene softens her even more as she's able to accept that she does lose, which she uses to make her stronger. And she brings her army together on that shared outlook, showing that she's a true leader who's not afraid to admit her missteps and failures. They've done a good job making Clarice more relatable so far in the season, and I really like how they've expanded her role from the novel. And I know a lot of people might dislike not only this change, but many others as well, because there are a lot of differences to the books. It strays from the source material pretty heavily, but I enjoy all of these added details and changes so far. As I said in my last video, The Sea of Monsters is my least favorite book in the series, and it's also the shortest. So beefing it up a bit and changing the story is actually exciting, at least for me, because I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. And the reason I'm so confident in these changes is because Rick Riordan, the author of the series, is at the helm, either writing the scripts himself or giving strong feedback and not letting anything go by without his approval. The last of Clarice we see in this episode kind of annoyed me, because when she realizes that the coordinates are wrong, she thinks back to Percy saying this to Tantalus.
And those numbers aren't even the right ones.
But then she just decides to blame Percy.
Jackson.
Like, what did he do? Tantalus is the one who gave you the wrong coordinates, not Percy. Seeing the Laestrygonian giants on the cruise ship is straight comedy. They're just walking around like they're normal passengers, stealing candy, and I especially cracked up when they were next to the employee who opens the elevator for them. Then we see Allison Sims again, who we saw in the opening scene of episode 1, and who was a character made just for this show. She was not a character in the books. She's reading a magazine called Bow Huntress, which depicts a woman with a bow and arrow, which is perfect seeing as that's her weapon of choice. Just really cool attention to detail. I really like that one. One thing that I didn't like was how much Percy got his ass kicked during their fight. I mean, it was 2-on-1 and Percy still got thrown to the ground, leaving Annabeth the only one standing. This is Percy Jackson, the best combat fighter Camp Half-Blood has ever seen. And then the only reason he wins the fight is by dodging, which is just so unlike book Percy. Allison falling overboard though was pretty crazy. I'm curious how they're going to bring her back for that final battle at the end of the season, which we know she's there for because we saw her in a trailer. In this episode, we find out a lot of lore very quickly, and do so with simple dialogue that's just one after the other.
Those defeated in battle owe a debt of service to Ares.
We're told who the Titans are in a throwaway line.
Who are the Titans again?
They ruled in the time before Olympus.
We're told about how the gods took down Kronos.
Kronos didn't trust his kids, so he ate them. Zeus got him to barf him back up, chopped his dad into pieces with his own scythe.
And this is one thing that I think the show can improve on. We need more show and less tell, especially not with such casual lines. It takes away the meaning and importance of these things, all of which are very crucial to the series. Looking at Annabeth and Luke in this episode is intriguing. Annabeth actually says that Luke is like her brother.
It was like seeing my brother stab my sister in the back.
Which differs from the book, where Luke is Annabeth's longtime crush. Rick might have seen this problematic dynamic, especially with Luke saying he liked Annabeth too at the end of the series, when he's always been way older. Being like her brother though, we have the same result, as she's set on saving Luke and not killing him like Percy wants to.
I don't think Luke can be saved.
And I do.
So, capture. Instead of kill.
The video that's played on the TV was cool, as we see a monstrous dog at the buffet, the demigods on the rock climb, the Laestrygonian giants bowling with fireballs, plus the mention of the mist.
The mist protects you from the prying eyes of mortals.
The ship map also has a lot of cool Easter eggs, like the Lucky Drachma Casino, the Orpheus Stage, the Pantheon Arcade, the Hercules Gym and Fitness Center, and way more. Pretty much all of these have some tie to Greek mythology, which again is great attention to detail. When Percy gets close to Kronos, he gets a pain in his head, and this is literally straight from Harry Potter when his scar hurts every time he gets close to Voldemort. As they walk through the hallway, we get more Greek mythology Easter eggs, as all of the paintings are either from that era or about that era. An interesting detail is that Luke somehow knew that Tyson was claimed by Poseidon.
Poseidon claimed him. He's Percy's brother.
Which means, just like in the book, he has a spy at camp. And there's one person who immediately comes to mind, and Clarice might not be happy about it. There was another character that was a spy in the book, but they haven't been introduced yet, so I won't say anything about that. One thing I disliked was how easily Percy let the giants take Tyson. Tyson is literally screaming out for him.
Percy!
And Percy just stands there and says that they won't hurt him.
They won't hurt you!
But how the heck does he know that? If he thinks there's no saving Luke, why would he assume those part of his army wouldn't hurt his brother? I've gotta say, this episode did a great job with character reaction shots. We see this with Annabeth's reaction when she first sees Luke, or Luke's reaction when Percy mentions his father Hermes.
Your dad told me.
You can tell that this really affects Luke, and he even takes a second to recover before snapping back to this new version of him that serves Kronos. Also, giving some lore on Luke's scar and why he hates his father so much. Hermes had given his son a quest to retrieve a golden apple, a quest that had already been given to Hercules, which felt like a slap in the face for Luke because he wanted a quest that had never been done before. Then it got worse because not only did he fail the quest, but he also encountered the dragon Ladon, who permanently scarred his face. Kronos' sarcophagus looks great. I love the gold lines on the rough black stone. And adding the painting behind it, which depicts gods and mortals at war, was an amazing touch. Shout out to the set designers for that one. How they focused on Thalia in this episode gave me chills. Luke telling Annabeth that she didn't know Thalia was a low blow.
You didn't know her!
But a low-key good point. As he said, he was with her for 2 years, and Annabeth was only with her for 2 months.
Thalia and I were on the run together for 2 years. You were with us for 2 months. You were just a kid.
And those 2 years where Luke and Thalia were together are heavily covered in the expansion book, The Demigod Diaries. There we read about how they faced tons of monsters together, how Thalia saved Luke on several occasions, and it mostly focuses on how they got trapped by a demigod and had to escape together. And we get another great reaction shot as we see Annabeth's despair as Luke tells her that Thalia would have joined him in Kronos. And when he adds that the tree was a curse for Thalia.
That tree is her curse. She'd be glad to see it fall.
That hit me just as hard as it hit Annabeth. Then we get a mention of the Great Prophecy.
Did he say great prophecy?
Which I mentioned earlier, and is what Chiron had told Annabeth about in the last episode. As we learn at the end of this episode, the prophecy says that a demigod born from the big three, meaning Zeus, Poseidon, or Hades, had the possibility of either saving or destroying Olympus when they turned 16. Seeing the demigod training facility and immediately watching a dummy with a Camp Half-Blood shirt get hit in the neck with a sword was wild. In the scene, it kind of humanizes Luke, much like this episode did for Clarice. We hear Luke stand up for monsters.
We don't really use that word here.
Monsters?
We're all children of the gods.
And even more, we hear him stand up for Tyson.
He gets treated like an outcast just because his mother wasn't human. Here with us, he can use his talents as a master craftsman, and he'll be accepted, not treated like a problem to solve.
The kindness he shows to his army really softens him. And this gets even more true as Luke yells after Allison when she says she's going to cut them down.
Cut him down!
No!
Then there's another fascinating moment about Luke's way of doing things, as Tyson says he enjoyed being in Luke's ranks because he fit in. And I'd also like to talk about Luke mentioning the Golden Age.
We are fighting to create a new golden age.
In the series, this was the time when Kronos ruled, and it was a time when mortals lived with no knowledge, which Kronos said allowed them to be innocent and free. But Chiron later said that this was just propaganda by Kronos. We also get a hint about that final battle that will take place at camp.
When the barrier falls, camp won't be able to stand against our assault.
Then, we have the sickest moment in possibly the entire series thus far, as Tyson... Well, you know what? I'm actually just gonna play you my live reaction. What is that?
A bomb.
Yo!
Sky.
Holy crap. Bro, let's go! Let's go! Dude, that is so badass. Let's go, Tyson. Let's go. I love the moment where Percy and Luke stare each other down as Percy escapes. We then get a throwback line to episode 1 as Tyson says,
"And a real hero stands up for others,"
which he recited with Sally at the beginning of the season.
Being a real hero means standing up for others.
The end of this episode really shakes things up. As I said earlier, Tyson admits that he felt like he fit in with Luke's ranks. Then Annabeth starts questioning everything she thought she knew because of what Luke said about Thalia.
If I was wrong about her, maybe I'm wrong about everything.
Then Annabeth goes against Chiron and tells Percy the prophecy.
If Luke's right about anything, it's that you deserve to know the truth about your own fate.
And finally, we get a heartbreaking way to end the episode, when Percy asks if Annabeth thinks he might destroy Olympus like the prophecy says.
What do you think?
And she just looks down, her face telling us all we need to know. This was a good episode, and once again, it flew by while watching it. I will say, I'd like to see more show and less tell. And if they do decide to relay important information through dialogue, I'd like to see them make a bigger deal of it. I also think Percy wasn't really himself at times in this episode, first losing easily in combat, which Book Percy would never do, and then just letting Tyson be taken away. My favorite character in this episode has to be Luke, closely followed by Clarice, but I really do think that Luke stole the show. His back and forths with Percy and Annabeth were both really well performed and also really well written. Now, I've given a ranking of every episode so far out of 10, so I'm of course going to do the same with this episode. I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10.
8? I'd give it a 6.5.
But it had a lot to like about it. Plus, it made me really excited for the episodes to come. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of the episode though. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. If you missed my video on the first 2 episodes of this season,
Bro, plug and play. Oh yeah, dude, these things are so fun.
Some of the most interesting video games to me are the ones that are more toy than video game. I mean, what are video games but fancier, more complicated toys? You wouldn't even have Deltarune if it weren't for Gooey Louie. Since the dawn of video games, the medium has dipped its toes into being more toy-like, rather than being pieces of technology. I mean, for the first decade or so of their existence, video games really were just toys. You plugged them in, played 1 or 2 super simplistic games that were normally just a version of Pong.
Of course, Atari and later Nintendo came in with revolutionary cartridge-based systems that changed the medium forever, but video games never truly lost that link to the toy industry. You had things like the Tiger handhelds, Tamagotchis, even some of the Toys to Life craze. They're all technically video games in one way or another, but really, you could just consider them toys. Does anybody remember the Zizzle handheld games? I never owned any, but my friend had the SpongeBob and Toy Story ones, and I'm still jealous to this day. But among all of these video game toy hybrids, there are none more famous, more infamous, than the plug-and-play systems. If it weren't for the plug-and-play, we wouldn't have gotten a controller with Kevin Jonas's face on it. For those of you unfamiliar, a plug-and-play console is exactly as it sounds. You plug it in and you play. You might be saying to yourself, well, that's just a normal game console then. Well, first of all, who said you could interrupt me? And secondly, the whole purpose of the plug-and-play is that that's all you need to play. No additional controllers, no game discs or cartridges, no internet, nothing. Slap some AA's in, plug in your yellow and white AV cables,
those are the days.
no red because that's too much to ask for, I guess, and you're on your way to some gaming. You can argue that this all started with those Pong consoles I mentioned earlier, but the earliest instance of a more traditional plug-and-play console was the TV Boy in 1992, which was just a bootleg console with a zillion Atari games. We've really been doing that 1001 shtick for over 3 decades now, huh? Time is a flat circle. Many point to the Activision 10-in-1 by Toymax for the first official plug-and-play system. It was a simple controller with about 10 Atari games built in. Toymax was later acquired by the toy company Jakks Pacific, who must have contracted the plug-and-play symbiote in the merger, because Jakks went absolutely wild after this. If you've owned or even seen a plug-and-play from the 2000s, I guarantee you it was made by Jakks Pacific. They started off light with some classic arcade and Atari game compilations, which were pretty neat. I mean, sure, you had the Namco and Atari compilations on the consoles, but these had the actual controllers these games were played with. Have you ever tried to play an arcade game with an analog stick? Oh, this isn't because of the stick. I just got really pissed playing Mappy. But those weren't the consoles Jakks was known for. These were the consoles Jakks were known for. Licensed kids games were already in their prime around the early 2000s, so you bet your ass the toy company was dipping their toes into the genre. It started off pretty general with your SpongeBobs, your Spider-Mans, Disney, Batman, Star Wars. But then it got a little more wacky with Mortal Kombat, Blue's Clues, Shrek, Fantastic Four, Scooby-Doo, Bob the Builder, WALL-E, Hannah Montana, more SpongeBob, Avatar, Howie Mandel, Phineas and Ferb, goddamn Dragon Ball Z. Okay, wait, that last one's kinda cool. If there was a popular show or movie, Jakks got their mitts on it. One of the most iconic things about these consoles, though, was the controller-console hybrid itself. They tended to get pretty wacky with the designs, basing the controller off the property entirely. Instead of playing SpongeBob games on a regular controller, you're playing SpongeBob games on SpongeBob. This is definitely another reason these felt more toy-like. Sometimes the joystick is just straight up an entire character. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that though. Whenever I played the Avatar plug-and-play, it just felt like I was strangling the poor kid. On paper, the plug-and-play is a great idea. No more worrying about what console your child has or if they already have the game. Just buy them the plug-and-play with the character they like the most and bam, easy $20 birthday gift. These were inexpensive, cool to look at, and had multiple games, so what's the catch? They're a plug and play, that's the catch. A lot of the time, the games were either clones of pre-existing games, had very minimal replay value, or were just bad. I don't know what you were expecting from the Camp Rock video game console, but you probably got exactly what you paid for. Actually, that one's not horrible, but we'll get to that. But you have to remember that a lot of these came out in the early 2000s. You can't expect perfect quality. Or can you? God, I hope so. I gathered a handful of plug-and-plays that I personally found interesting to take a look at. Some I already owned, some I had to buy, and some were actually rarer than I thought for some reason. I definitely wanted more than like the 17 I got, don't get me wrong, but I had to draw the line somewhere. And that line was spending $50+ on a Phineas and Ferb plug-and-play. Rare my ass, there's like 10 of these on eBay, and there was only like one Camp Rock one. There was also a lot of plug-and-plays that I just didn't care for or didn't want to cover. Listen, I love Texas Hold'em, but what the fuck am I supposed to say about the World Poker Series plug-and-play? Finally, they made poker real! So without further ado, let's dive into the world of plugging and playing, and of course, we have to start with one of the most iconic consoles, My Guy Robert. Released in 2003, SpongeBob SquarePants was one of Jack's first plug-and-plays. Can you tell? There were quite a few SpongeBob plug-and-plays out there. The Fry Cook games, Jellyfish Dodge, Bikini Bottom 500, the Dilly Dabbler. Oh, to dilly dabble with SpongeBob. But just so half the list isn't only SpongeBob, I just went with the most iconic one, which was probably the worst choice. But what wasn't the worst choice was the design of this thing. I mean, come on, making SpongeBob's nose the joystick? That is genius, if only the quality was that good. Look at this title screen, I feel like it's sentient. There's 5 games in total here. SpongeBob's Bubble Pop, Sandy's Surf Adventure, Invasion of the Hooks, Patrick and the Maze, and the Super Chum Bucket. Each game comes with a little backstory, a quick set of instructions, and you're thrown right into it. It's a combination of high-score arcade-style games and linear arcade-style games. SpongeBob's Bubble Pop and Invasion of the Hooks are alright. Bubble Pop is literally just Breakout but with power-ups, not much to say here. Invasion of the Hooks, however, is this Space Invaders style game where you throw patties at hooks to stop fishermen from taking your friends. Space Invaders might not be the best comparison, but it's all I've got. It's a fine enough high score based game. You do eventually get Krabs and Gary as well, but I never got that far. Skill issue, I suppose. Guess I need to drink some gamer subs using code TOADBUFF for 10% off. Then I'll have the energy to save Squidward. But unfortunately, I have not drank one recently, so he is no longer with us. The Sandy game just plain sucks. It's a side-scrolling shooter, which I'm already not a big fan of, but on top of that, it's a bad side-scrolling shooter. If you get hit, it's back to the start of the level, the controls are a little slippery, and overall, it's just boring. I like the color palette on the background, but that goes for the other games as well, so it's not really an exclusive compliment. Lastly, there's the Maze and the Bucket. Patrick in the Maze is actually kinda cool. A top-down puzzle adventure romp where you have to play mini-games and solve puzzles as Patrick. This would have been my favorite as a kid since it's actually, well, a game. And Super Chum Bucket is just souped up Donkey Kong. Fantastic. Overall, the SpongeBob plug-and-play is just fine. I could see some value in this for kids though, especially getting to play with the fun controller. The games, with exception of Sandy, are simple and entertaining, its color palette and sprites pop out and are fun to look at, and you get to play with a little Bob. I consider this a solid plug-and-play. But another solid one is the Atari plug-and-play, sort of. This is the aforementioned Atari 10-in-1 console. It's an Atari joystick with 10 built-in games. I like this one because it really gives you the Atari experience, unlike a lot of those old compilations. Sure, there's less games, but you get the actual controller, horrible joystick and all. You've got Adventure, Asteroids, Breakout, Centipede, Circus, Gravitar, Missile Command, Pong, Volleyball, and Yar's Revenge. All classic Atari games, but all I needed was Circus and you had me hooked. There's not much to say here. They're Atari games. The most value that can be had here is from people who grew up with the Atari, getting to re-experience these old games in a good way. I'm sorry, but if you were a kid in the 2000s, your ass was not choosing the Atari console over the SpongeBob gaming contraption. But it's a good console, it does what it sets out to do, and Atari games can still hold up decently. Except Pong with the joystick, that's still terrible. The Namco plug-and-play is up next. There were a ton of these things, including one that I've still seen on store shelves in the past few years, but this is the most bare-bones, down-to-earth Namco plug-and-play that there is. Now, why did I buy the one that's technically the worst? Because I got it from a garage sale for 50 cents a year ago, so that's what we're covering.
That's the exact one I had.
Fact, this plug-and-play was broken right up until I got my footage. I was gonna make a silly little joke being like, oh no, it's broken, I can't play it. But God laughed in my face. You've got 5 classic Namco titles, Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaxian, Rally X, and Bosconian? Pac-Man and Dig Dug are obvious picks, but Galaxian, Bosconian, and Rally X? Okay, Rally X is one of my favorite arcade games of all time, but Galaxian and Bosconian? No Galaga, Xevious, Miss Pac-Man, Mappy? Strange choices for the first Namco plug-and-play, but I guess it could have been worse. Galaxian is just a weird version of Galaga, and Bosconian makes me hallucinate, but otherwise, this is a fine lineup. The best part of this console is the console itself. I love the arcade stick and button. It really feels like you're playing on a mini arcade cabinet. Future Namco plug-and-plays do it way better, but this is a solid enough little console. It just needed a little bit more. This, on the other hand, didn't. Power Rangers SPD, Escape of the 5 Fugitives. This one actually had 2 variants, a controller and a joystick. The joystick is obviously the superior one. You get to Lord of the Flies the Red Ranger. I'll keep it real, I know nothing about Power Rangers. In fact, I hated them as a kid. I think I just found my classmates saying "Go Go Power Rangers" so annoying that by proxy, I never touched the show. I do like that one video though, where that one guy goes, "You're just boring."
You're just boring! You're just boring!
In this game, you get to choose from the 5 Rangers, each of which needs to stop a different villain from a nefarious deed. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, beat up enemies. I barely played this one. I only bought it because I found it at my local game store, and it was essentially just a cheap little bonus to the collection of consoles that I already had. I do think the fact that it's a beat-em-up is pretty cool. I mean, I love beat-em-ups. The graphics are fine, it's just very much not for me. Hydrax is a dumb idiot. Power Rangers fans, please feel free to kill me in the comment section. At the same time I bought the Power Rangers one, I also got this one. Scooby-Doo and the Mystery of the Castle. I love this controller so much. The stick is a ghost and Scooby is holding on for dear life. Your dog's about to fucking fly out of your van, Fred. Be a little more concerned. Anyways, this might actually be the best one so far. Right off the bat, you have difficulties, saves, and options. It's an immediate upgrade from the last few. 5 games this time around, each representing a different chapter in the story, starting with Race to Fonte Castello. Fred absolutely floors it in the mystery machine. As you objects on the road,
oh shit, you pushed him off the road.
The River of Frights. Hop away on logs while Scooby throws live birds at you. Searching the castle, you play as Shaggy and Scooby making their way through the castle. Pick up items, hide from enemies to get around them, pretty simple. The Mysterious Doors. You need to get from point A to point B using these color-coded doors that lead to one another. Key, enemies, and other obstacles are in your way. Probably my favorite game of the bunch. Lastly is the Dungeon of Fonte Castello.
Yeah, it's actually sick.
Dungeons of Fonte Castello. These games not only are actually kind of fun, but they last a while too. Multiple levels on each, all connected by the same story with charming graphics. Dare I say it, this feels like a video game. No way! Well, we can't have that now, can we? Super Silly Makeover is here to save us from having fun. One of the first fully original plug-and-plays not based on a property. I actually got this one complete in box, pretty cool. It's just a shame I can't close it back up. I may have quite literally opened Pandora's box. The whole premise of this one is that you need to give your character a super silly makeover, corresponding with the word that the announcer uses. Sometimes they need to be silly, sometimes they need to be sad, sometimes the game console just doesn't function at all. After you finish your face, it's judged and that's about it. It's literally just this one game mode over and over again. I can't see a single reason that this would be similarly priced to something like the Namco or Scooby-Doo ones. This might be the worst one so far. Well, I mean,
That's crazy
it did
work
have
right there.
closable eyelids and a mirror on it, so that brings it back a little for me.
That's
Next up,
crazy.
we've got Avatar: The Last Airbender Book 1 Challenges. Unfortunately, this only covers Season 1, so my goat Toph is nowhere to be found. The controller for this one is really cool, having Aang balance on the air scooter. It even spins too, it's such a neat touch. It's a shame I have to crush his bald head to play penguin sledding. 6 whole games this time around, most of which are actually pretty entertaining. Most of them. There's Sokka's Boomerang Challenge, a puzzle game where you toss a boomerang and try to hit the balloons. Zuko's Fire Blast, a much better puzzle game, has you shoot fireballs to hit gates, power-ups, and more. Very interesting puzzle game.
19 more, 18 more of these
Then there's
fuckers.
penguin sledding, which is dumb and stupid. Appa's Air Blitz, a decent side-scrolling shooter, and Avatar Adventure, a whole-ass 2D platformer with multiple movement mechanics. I didn't play a ton of it, mostly because it was getting late and I had been playing plug-and-plays for like 2 days straight, but what I played was actually very impressive. For a plug-and-play, this is the cream of the crop. It actually reminds me of a mediocre Game Boy Advance licensed game. That's the American dream right there. Thanks, Aang. Oh, also, there was like a rhythm game based on the Kyoshi Warriors. I don't know how I forgot about that, but that one's okay, I guess. Flipping from Nickelodeon to Disney, we've got High School Musical all together now. There were actually a lot of live-action Disney properties that got the...
I'll be right back, boys. Oh. A little stretch right there.
plug-and-play treatment for some reason. That's because these were for the girls. While boys got Spider-Man and Power Rangers, girls got Hannah Montana and Howie Mandel and Hannah Montana again. I think the funniest one that was marketed towards girls though was the Sleeping Beauty plug-and-play. Because that's just a whole ass figure as the joystick. Do jacks just think that girls have never touched video games ever? Oh yeah, I give them a whole ass action figure to play Birthday Celebration with. They won't notice. Anyways, I didn't actually play the High School Musical game because, come on man, it's sealed in the box. I've never been a keep game sealed kind of guy. Even being a retro game collector, I've never been that person. But this is something you need to keep the packaging for. They also repackaged it in 2012 for some reason, 4 years after the last movie. This wasn't the only High School Musical plug-and-play though. There was also this Wii ripoff that I'm now just realizing exists. God damn it, I would have bought that. I'm sure this would have been a blast. I knew the world was missing a Diner Dash clone. Not like we've had any of those. But if you want a Disney Channel movie plug-and-play you can actually see, look no further than the Camp Rock plug-and-play. This was honestly not too bad. You could probably tell from the Jonas-encrusted controller that this is a Guitar Hero clone, and a weird one at that. Instead of a big plastic strumming piece, there's a sensor bar that you have to strum. It works most of the time, but when there's a lot of notes present, aka when you're in a harder difficulty, it'll just randomly stop working. It's really just a watered down Guitar Hero. The music is good, but that's because it's Camp Rock. If you don't like the Camp Rock music, you're either too young to have seen it, or are a fucking loser. Swear to God I can jam to This Is Me any day of the week. Who's with me? There were a couple other Guitar Hero-like plug-and-play consoles, but this was the only one I wanted to talk about. No more Guitar Hero clones from here on out. What's next? I just said no more Guitar Hero clones. The Nicktoons TV game released in 2004, and similar to the SpongeBob one, it was not the only Nicktoons plug-and-play. You may notice that on this console, there's a slot for something called a game key. I sadly didn't get my hands on any of these, but a game key is a cartridge that you could plug into select Jack-specific plug-and-plays and get extra games for your console. It was basically DLC before DLC was a thing, if DLC somehow sucked even more than it does now. There were barely any of these. In fact, some plug-and-plays had the slot for it, but never had a game key released. Anyways, we aren't missing out on much by not having
hilarious.
Oh no, I can't play volleyball as Tommy Pickles. Get real, play some Jimmy Neutron Donkey Kong. 5 games this time around, all pretty unique. Of course, there's the Jimmy Neutron game where it's Donkey Kong, but there's no fall damage and you have a drill to trap enemies, or sometimes yourself. Delivery service has you riding downtown Bikini Bottom as SpongeBob, delivering Krabby Patties to the locals under a time limit. Then there's this strange top-down Fairly Odd Parents game, where you have to collect stars and navigate a small maze with enemies. I do love this one though, because it's based on the Channel Chaser special. Such a neat idea for a game like this. The Rocket Power game has you skating down a hill. Never cared for the show, and I don't care about this game. It's okay. And lastly is Cash Dash, a fun short party game you can actually play with other people. The whole thing is you have 3 properties you need to reach on a map, you roll the dice to make your way to said properties, earn cash, and then get back to the start before the others. It ranks based on your amount of money and time it took you to get back. It's nothing groundbreaking, but for a plug-and-play, very cool. My standards are in hell. The Nicktoons plug-and-play is also pretty alright. Sure, the Rocket Power game isn't great, and the SpongeBob one is really simple, but I would have loved this as a kid. Speaking of orange, here's the Fantastic Four TV game. I'm not a big fan of this controller. Could someone tell me why the Thing's got his thing out? Similar to the Power Rangers game, this has you running through side-scrolling beat-em-up stages as the Fantastic Four. I like this one a little more though, since the characters are a lot more unique. Also, it doesn't hurt that I actually like the Fantastic Four. If this wasn't weirdly difficult, this would be a pretty fun time. However, the Spider-Man plug-and-play is the superior Marvel one. Sort of. Okay, if the last one looked like the thing was Hang and Wang, this whole thing is the Wang. That's just not sanitary. More of a variety of games here with
That's
5
just
whole
not
games to choose
sanitary.
from. Most of these are simple high score based games like Spider Training, Venom's Vindication, or Vulture's Venture. But Streets of the City and Escape from the Sewers are a little more complex and a little more fun. Streets is a more traditional platformer, having you fight random goons and save the city from the head goons. I do like how Spider-Man moves and controls in this one, and it's a fun little time. But the sewer game is sick. It's a first-person romp through the sewer where you web up lizards and defuse bombs. It's not really complex, but it does remind me of old first-person computer games, and I love that. There's a few other Spider-Man plug-and-plays out there, but this is definitely the most popular one. Okay, this next one I've been dying to play way before I ever wanted to make this video, and that is none other than the Dragon Ball plug-and-play. There's 3 games on this thing, and one of them is pinball. And pinball's the best one! What happened, Goku? This is just tragic. You'll give High School Musical 4 whole games, but Dragon Ball 3? Wrong orange ball, buddy. You've got Kamehameha Assault, Budo Retsuden, and Pinball. Kamehameha Assault is a strange Pong game where you have to bounce an energy ball back and forth. You protect a set of Dragon Balls and try to steal all 7 from your opponent, and the first one that gets all of them wins. It's fine. I like that they did something different from straight Pong, but it doesn't feel very Dragon Ball. What does feel Dragon Ball, though, is Budo Retsuden, a fighting game based on the Butoden series. I love the Butoden series of games. Shout out to Extreme Butoden because that game is so underrated. I can't wait to see what Jax cooked up. It's just a really bare bones mid-fighting game. Hey, at least you can play as multiple characters, and the MIDI cover of Rock the Dragon is pretty cool. Somehow the best game of the bunch by far ended up being Pinball. Pinball's already okay by itself, but this game has enemies, secret paths, boss fights, so damn much for Pinball. I don't know if this is commonplace in pinball games because I've never really played a pinball video game, but I had a blast with this one and could honestly return to beat the whole thing someday. Pinball somehow saved this plug-and-play from being a complete disaster. There was a game key plan for this with an improved fighting game and a new puzzle game, but Jax decided we've suffered enough. Another one I was really looking forward to was the DreamWorks plug-and-play. Let's be real, this is a Shrek plug-and-play. Just look at this console. I don't see a lick of Chicken Run on this thing. For some reason, out of the 5 games, 3 are themed on Shrek, and 2 are themed on Over the Hedge. Other movies were out by this point, Madagascar, Shark Tale, fucking ants, but no, we just had to have Donkey Dash. Whatever, may as well see if Donkey Dash is any good. Hold on a second, is this just the Rocket Power game? How depraved of ideas are you that you need to copy Rocket Power? And then there's Shrek Pinball and Golf, both of which are copied from Dragon Ball and the Nicktoons game key. You couldn't even bother to change the 7 holes in the pinball game? Those are supposed to be for the Dragon Balls. I don't quite remember Puss in Boots using the 7 Dragon Balls to summon fucking Porunga. Dash for Trash is just channel chasers, and lastly, there's a generic puzzle game. Why are they animated like that? I don't feel safe. This is by far the worst one, simply because they just copy and pasted like everything they could have. Okay, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get a chance to talk about this, but I'm just gonna mention it here because I don't know where else I would. This is not the first time that Shrek, video games, and plagiarism have all happened at once. So there was this Shrek the Third game that was on the educational console V-Smile. Great console, had it as a kid, probably sucks now, but that's besides the point. And this Shrek game used full-on Zelda music. Like, it just had straight-up tracks from Zelda in the game. And I think that's the funniest thing ever, that they got away with that somehow. I just want to talk about that. But there's another plug and play that was bigger than Shrek. Hell, big enough to rival the SpongeBob and Spider-Man ones. And that's none other than the Star Wars plug and play, specifically the Revenge of the Sith one. Just like SpongeBob and Spider-Man, there's like 50 different Star Wars plug and plays. So many unique and cool ones too, like the motion-controlled rail shooter, the motion-controlled lightsaber, the motion-controlled blaster. Most of these were motion-controlled. I mean, have you seen a Star Wars movie? They move all the time in those, it's perfect for motion controls. But the Revenge of the Sith console is the one I saw the most people own. I have the Darth Vader variant, which looks sick. But there was also a Yoda one, R2-D2, and General Grievous, which looks twice as sick. But they all have the same game, so there was no need for me to waste like $40 to get the other ones. On top of it looking clean, it's an actual controller. I'm surprised they didn't have me play with a lightsaber joystick or something. On to the actual games. There's 5 in total, starting with Droid Invasion. It's like a strange Space Invaders breakout hybrid, where you deflect laser beams back at the incoming droids. It's fine enough. The deflecting is a little wonky, but you can kill some decent time on it. Then there's Coruscant Attack, a basic top-down arcade shooter where you're on, Coruscant? Listen, it's been a while since I've seen Star Wars, but I'm pretty sure this is space. Grievous Onslaught. Play as Anakin and try to reach the Chancellor. I liked this one. Unfortunately, I just really sucked at it. Gunship Battle is a strange little shooter where you've got to take out these enemy bases and then let your guys invade said base. At least that's what the instructions tell me. I didn't even know there were clone troopers with me. I was just being a little silly flying around. And last but mostly least, Utapau Chase. You race on a lizard, this is just Donkey Chase Deluxe. This was solid enough, definitely feels more like a pick up and play console rather than something you'd really work away at, but I don't really mind that. A decent time that has some of the best plug and play controls by default. Listen, I love the silly designs of these controllers, but what would you rather play a game with? A controller with a stick and 2 buttons, or a heart locket with a picture of Jeff Foxworthy on the inside? I love game shows to death, so I knew I had to at least pick up one of these. Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader TV game? For some reason, they made it a clamshell design with a picture of Jeff Foxworthy on the inside. I suppose it's there to remind me what I'm truly fighting for. It's pretty much just the game show, where you've got to answer questions in different subjects and grades. I tried making my name Einstein to get an upper hand, but the game just didn't register it. I think they're calling me out for being dishonest. Oh my god, how did I not realize until I was editing this that I hit the back button? Are you kidding me? There's not too much to talk about on this one. I still remember all of the South American capitals from Spanish class in middle school. That's cool. There's also mini games you can play. One of them is just choosing tiles until you pick a negative one, and then the game's over. That's not even a mini game. That's nothing. That's actually nothing. And to wrap up our incredible list of plug and plays, I've got one that isn't even made by Jack's Pacific. That's right, other companies threw their hats into the plug and play ring. And would you be surprised if I said the Tiger snuck a claw or two in as well? Tiger Electronics, like I previously mentioned, has a history of making electronic toy video game doohickeys, and that holds true for plug and play.
No way.
What I've got here is none other than the Dream Life TV game, made by Tiger and maybe released by Hasbro. In this game, you live life as a high school girl, managing your social life, doing chores, going to the mall, buying shoes, what every teenage girl ever did, of course. This one I actually owned before. It belonged to my sister when we were kids. It's pretty cool. A sleek circle design with a remote-like game controller you can take out. Very early 2000s. I wonder how much it goes for on eBay. Oh my god. Why is this random ass plug and play so expensive? If you want to roleplay as a teenage girl that badly, Click off this video, I don't want you watching me. Start the game off by making your character. The UI
That's
is
fire.
pretty nice. It just reminds me how much I didn't like the Rocket Power minigame. So I went to go name myself I Hate Rocket Power, but the game only let me put I Hate Rock. I swear I'm a rock fan. I own a Kamen Rider album and everything. Well, I guess Kamen Rider's more reggae and punk rather than rock. It's really down to opinion. Oh, the game crashed while I was talking, god damn it. Make your character, add some possibly useless attributes, and you can get into the game. I, for example, made a very creative jock. This reminds me a lot of a game like Stick RPG, where you have to balance aspects of your life while picking up new items and jobs to keep afloat. The main things you gotta do here are balance your friends, your fashion, and your lifestyle. Starting with friends, all you really gotta do is talk to people, and they'll just become your friend. Every conversation with a new person is just so weird. Like, sure, you can have some normal talks, but here's just a few of the glamorous chats I've had. For starters, one time I talked to a girl named Josephine and then agreed to go to a random ass party in 11 days, and then I never went to the party. I talked to Joshua for the first time ever, somehow knew that he takes pictures, and then told him I like the pictures with goofy boys in them. I also randomly asked him if he knew anything about reptiles. He said a little. I said that's no help, and then asked to play volleyball instead. We never played volleyball. Also, who are any of these people I said I'd play volleyball with? I've never seen any of these names in my life. Why did I agree to go to another party? I'm not going. I hate to say it, but I Hate Rock is a compulsive liar. I also met this girl, Hannah, for the first time ever, and the first thing I say to her is that I apologize for not calling her back. I mean, she's not wrong. I didn't call her back. Anyways, it's super easy to build up a friend meter, especially with your very own best friend to start off with. The game lets you make a best friend to start you off in the friend world, and honestly, I just made an exact duplicate of myself, but reversed the stats. I'm the only jock around these parts, not her. The fashion meter is pretty self-explanatory. Just buy clothes and cool things and it'll go up. Toys and games marketed for girls at the time really pushed for them to shop. It's a good thing boys were never pushed by toys and media to shop for things. Am I right, fellas? Oh, wait. And lastly is the lifestyle, which can go up just by participating in activities and other things. I took on every single activity and then just played it by ear. Sometimes I'd drop softball, and then I'd pick it up again the next day. There's other things to do, like perform well in school, buy things, make money, but overall, it's a pretty simple life simulator. I would have more to say on it, but after talking about PJ Day at my school, my console could take no more and completely reset itself. A beautiful end to I Hate Rock story. No one bought lime green shoes and wind chimes like you did, Rocky. Rest well. And that wraps up my plug and play journey. There was a few other ones out there that I wanted to talk about, like that one Phineas and Ferb one. There was a bunch of other SpongeBob and Star Wars ones I kind of wanted to take a look at. There was this really weird whack-a-mole one that I wanted to look at, but I could only buy so many of them. It really just goes to show how big of a thing this was in gaming at the time. But was it long lasting? Well, I mean, when I was 10, I did beg for one of these things for Christmas and lost my shit when I got it, so that should tell you something. After the initial boom the plug-and-play market had in the 2000s, the licensed craze died down and kinda took form in other ways. One company that continued to do plug-and-plays was called @Games. They hit it big time with their plug-and-plays based on pre-existing consoles. Atari, Intellivision, ColecoVision, and the big one, Sega Genesis. I wanted this damn Genesis so bad, it had Sonic and Sonic 2? Needless to say that when I got it for Christmas in like 2015, it was the happiest day of my life. Imagine if I got the ColecoVision instead. I wonder how I would have reacted. There was the aforementioned Pac-Man one that I saw in Walmart for like a decade, which is actually a really solid Namco compilation. I also remember these really gross arcade sticks made by MSI with a single NES game and nothing else. Who on earth plays Mega Man with a joystick? And of course, there's the many ones I've seen drift through Walgreens over the years. My Arcade, Retro Play, these HDMI arcade sticks. I feel like people don't realize just how many of these things still exist. Pretty much every plug and play these days, though, is either a classic arcade game or just garbage dookie pixel slop 1,000,001 gizmos. You could also consider all of these ones on Amazon plug and plays, but these are mostly just emulators slapped into a fake PS5 shell. That doesn't count. I do miss the charm and whimsy of the old licensed plug and plays, but I also get why they just don't work anymore. Licensed games are already a dying genre, let alone a strange toy hybrid with like 5 mediocre games on it. There's sadly just not a market for these things.
Oh shit.
Hey, Stave, Eldest, hey, guest. Left a voicemail, but it wasn't really good. Want to give more detail. Got a best friend that has a nephew. I've known this nephew since he's about 10 years old. I've watched him grow up. Recently got his first girlfriend, I believe within a year and a half. Long story short, she sucks. Like, she won't go along with bits. If we try to roast her,
Sorry,
she
he's
thinks
10?
we're genuinely being
He's
mean.
10.
No, I think he's known
19.
him since he was 10.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Wait, I don't know. I thought he was 10.
I think
Yeah.
he's known. Wait, he's known his nephew since he was 10. What is
He
that?
says he's about 10 years old.
Oh, play it again from the beginning. I was
Left a voicemail, but it wasn't really good. Want to give more detail. Got a best friend that has a nephew.
Oh.
I've known this nephew since he's about 10 years old.
okay.
I've watched him grow up. Recently got his first girlfriend, I believe within a year and a half. Long story short, she sucks. Like, she won't go along with bits. If we try to roast her, she thinks we're genuinely being mean.
Pause
And
this.
just doesn't.
This is what Michael Richards thought about Jerry Seinfeld's 19-year-old girlfriend. He was like, she won't even riff.
I say one little naughty word around her and she gets all uptight.
Anyway, okay, this is let's just off the bat, this is insane.
Yeah.
That a grown man is mad a child won't riff. A girl child who's dating his friend's nephew won't riff with him. What kind of relationship do you think friend of your boyfriend's uncle is to a fucking girl in high school or college?
Do you have her calling in? Hey, so my uncle's friend keeps trying to hang out with me.
Yeah, my boyfriend's uncle's friend doesn't think I'm fun. He keeps trying to fucking show me memes. Anyway, let's finish it.
Genuinely being mean, and just doesn't, vibe along. Most recent thing is that the nephew and his brother got together, started drinking for the nephew's 20th birthday, started watching anime. Girlfriend finds out, all of a sudden starts calling him an alcoholic, all of a sudden says he's going to start ruining his life, and all this toxic shit. And overall, I just don't like her. So what can I tell, basically my nephew, like the kid I've watched grow up?
He's not your nephew
hey,
at
get
all.
rid of this chick. You deserve better.
What?
Like, he's a bigger guy, not a lot of confidence, so I get why he's kind of dealing with it. But he's complained about her.
No, dude, let this kid have his slump
It's just not
buster.
good for him.
Yeah.
So I want to
She's
try
not
to find
good
a way
for him.
Dude,
What the fuck are you talking about?
Zero.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that you're like, oh, isn't this hilarious? Like, isn't it funny? Like, Billy's girlfriend's kind of a fucking idiot. Oh well, they're children. Who cares?
Yeah, what are they gonna get married? They're not Amish, right?
20, dude. 20. Anyway, let's finish this call.
So I want to try to find a way to instill the confidence in him to be like, hey, you can get somebody that doesn't suck. You can get somebody that doesn't call you an alcoholic for
Like my
drinking
wife.
with your brother.
Or else you'll end up like me.
So let me know. Love the podcast. Hope to hear what you got.
Okay. It's possible to be like, I don't really like, and okay, we're busting her balls, but also, he said, who did he say? It's like his friend's nephew.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you know, but even you and your nieces, it's like, I wouldn't.
What about my other nephew?
Or it's like his friend.
Oh, your other nephew. That's true. That's a better example, actually.
That's why I'm like, okay, I could kind of see it.
But he's also, how old is he now?
Like 22.
So it would be like if, okay, but 19. Honestly, 19 and 19 turning 20 is a lot different than even 22, 23, right?
Sure.
Like this is someone who's in college. Like to give a okay. It's like, for example, if that kid had a girlfriend who sucked, I would have an opinion. We would talk about it, but I would never be like,
Boy's not even here.
Man to man, she's sucking the life out of you, dude. You would just be like, oh, I hope this kid figures it out.
You
like,
pause GoldenEye to be like, let's talk for a second.
Yeah. You are coming off really weird, man. You are coming off insanely loserish. You're coming, honestly, I hate to be this, you're making me be woke, but you're coming off misogynistic. You're being like, she's a shrill harpy, this 20-year-old.
She's a real wet blanket, this one.
It's like, dude, they're fucking kids. If he's listen, as someone who was a fat kid, I would have killed to have a dumb bitch girlfriend when I was 19.
Yeah.
I didn't get pussy. To get pussy at 19, a girl could have treated me anyway. Who cares? I think it's better for him to have a shitty girlfriend that might. And by the way, she's not even. We don't even know that she's shitty because you're weird. So your
she
opinion,
sucks. I can tell. She can't even riff, bro.
We don't even know that you're funny. That's
this
the other
guy's
thing.
asking us to vouch for his sense of humor, sight unseen.
If anything, off of your energy, I am betting she's funnier than you are. Just off of your general demeanor. There is something very wrong with how you're taking this. You're taking it personally, and you're being weird. You gotta know that. You're being fucking strange. Let the kid have his fucking shitty first girlfriend. Is this projection on your part? What was your life like when you were 19? And by the way, you wanna know how he gets confidence? It's like, you go through a couple relationships when you're fucking 19 and 20.
You work your way up.
This is when you fuck up. He should have he'll learn this lesson by doing it. This is like you being like my friend's nephew. He's using training wheels on a bike. How do I tell him to have the confidence to use two wheels? You know what I mean? To use a motorcycle. And it's like, that's not the age he's at right now, dude. Like, this isn't a matter of confidence. He'll figure it out for himself. Don't meddle in a child's affairs.
Yeah, it's also not even your fucking place. I have friends who are 40 who are picking bad partners. I'm like, good luck with that. Stop staying the fuck out of this.
100%. And like, look, you might be closer to him than we're giving you credit for, but it's kind of fucking weird, dude.
Now you're baiting him with booze and to get him to hang out with you. I'm onto this.
Yeah, totally. You're mad. This is the only reason he calls you. He needs you to buy him fucking Twisted Teas. He needs you to buy him Twisted. Keep it twisted. The only reason he calls this guy is like, hey, can you buy me a handle of vodka? That's the only back and forth he has, and he's scared this girl might take his fucking connection.
Handle a vodka, you can't even handle a kid.
So yeah, dude, something is really off with your energy here. It's kind of making me uncomfortable, if I'm being completely honest with you.
That's fucking funny as shit, dude. What? What the fuck? Dude, that does not... What in the fuck did I just watch?
Now, I know what you're thinking. Why jailbreak a calculator? There's no point. You can just run programs off of it anyway, right? There's no need to jailbreak it. Well, not exactly. The story behind that is a lot more complicated than that. And the more I looked into this scene, the more I realized how it's not any different from the other 20 modding scenes that I've seen before. Yeah, running custom programs, games, moddable tools, and a bunch more on your calculator has been around for decades. But jailbreaking calculators just wasn't a thing until just a few years ago. And the big reason that this is happening is about reclaiming a feature that these calculator companies sold to them, but then took away after they purchased the device. This is the last place I thought this would be happening in. Yeah, as it turns out, there's a pretty big calculator community that really cares about their calculators and follows all the software updates and everything. Like seriously, the announcement of the TI-82 was like their PS5 moment for them. And for a really long time, being able to just install custom programs in your calculator was just a given. It was actually encouraged by companies like Texas Instruments. But over the past decade, there's been more pressure on big calculator from administrations and exam boards to remove the ability to install programs for fear of cheating. Now, I want to put this up in the front of the video because there is a well-documented history of YouTubers unfortunately creating misconceptions of what's possible with calculators. So just to be clear, this jailbreak doesn't allow you in any way to cheat. This is not a way to bypass exam mode, and as it turns out, the calculator community is very anti-cheating. There's like this unwritten rule to not create cheating programs just out of ethics reasons. And asking for cheating help anywhere in the scene is just like begging to be kicked or banned or made fun of. And funny enough, there's actually a spike of new members in Discord servers every single year around fall time, with most of them just asking for cheating help. So don't do that. Also, there is an exam mode on all the big calculators that prevents cheating. Like, this is actually required by law in a lot of countries to have on your calculator. The thing is, teachers just don't use it or know that it exists. If someone wants to cheat, either they didn't use exam mode or the teacher didn't bother to learn how to use it. That's on the administrators to know how to use their tools, not on the people who just want to make little programs. They're entirely separate. Now, here's where it gets just ridiculous. In 2020, a teacher explained how he was able to bypass exam mode on one of the Texas Instruments calculators that was already patched for 2 years at that point. And from almost out of embarrassment, TI finally decided they had to do something. And instead of just informing administrators and boards to ensure that their students' calculators were up to date, they pushed an update that completely removed the ability to add programs on your calculator, stating that,
after careful consideration, we made the decision to remove ASM functionality in our latest OS update to prioritize learning and minimize security risks.
That had nothing to do with each other. And the community at the time was not happy.
Bad move, stupid move, dumb move. It's just a crappy move and makes absolutely no sense and makes no difference whatsoever. And really all that's serving to do is antagonize that community that has been around for so long and put them in a position where they might start trying to break the security rather than protect these secrets.
I cannot stress this enough. This is absolutely retroactively removing a feature that they actively marketed as a selling point of their devices. Where have I seen that before? Okay, but whatever, we just won't update. We could easily get around this, but we don't want to try and poke the bear. Let's just keep our calcs on older firmwares and enjoy our programs through there. And then Texas Instruments decides that running any game on your calculator from that point forward would void the warranty of your calculator. Yeah, okay, now you're starting to see what's happening now. So the community acted pretty fast and decided their hand was forced here, and created a jailbreak to bring back the ability to reinstall programs onto these calculators. A feature that, for some users, was still advertised on the box that they bought the calculator in. And all was well again. But the distrust was still there, and it seemed like unofficially that the community and its relationship was in a don't tread on us and we won't tread on you type of thing. And that brings us to this year, when a YouTuber posted a video about cheating on a TI-84 Plus. And again, pressure was put on TI to do something about cheating. So they released another update that patched the jailbreak. Only this patch didn't actually patch the YouTuber's exploit, since he used hardware to modify the device. Also, you know the really dumb thing about this? That's not even the same calculator. So in reality, the patch only further hurt the legitimate community while doing nothing to actually fix what the YouTuber did. In fact, you can go buy one of these pre-made calculators right now. I have no idea why this dude still has the source code up for this. So we've seen this story a lot, unfortunately. A company retroactively removing features that were advertised to sell the product, and the community having to take back the basic features that they were promised when they bought the damn thing. But they worked fast, and 3 months after the patch, there's already a new jailbreak for this, which brings back program functionality and gave me an opportunity to really dig into the calc scene and show you everything that's possible on your calculator. And just to be super clear, jailbreaking is completely safe. It won't mess up your calculator. It's just to bring back the ability to reinstall programs. And if you're super paranoid, you can just delete the jailbreak at any time. Okay? All right. So let's talk about the most popular calculator you'll see around. The TI-84 Plus Colored Edition. Is that right? No way. They don't actually call. Okay, I just checked. It stands for Color Enhancement. Not, okay, yeah, because I was going to say, Jesus Christ. You might have seen its older brother around a lot more. The OG TI-84 Plus. Yeah, I definitely had this one in college because it was the only one that was allowed in class. This one is also moddable, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. This CE version is basically the next one in line with a colored display and a bit better processor. So it's important to note, for some calculators, you might not actually need to jailbreak. They never remove the ability to install apps on older firmwares for some reason. If you want to check what firmware you're on, you just hit second, then plus, then the about page. This one is 5.8.2, so it's a pretty new firmware, so it can't install apps on its own. Fortunately, jailbreaking is stupid easy. It's literally just drag and dropping a few files. Let me show you. First thing we want to grab is Artifice. That's the jailbreak for this calculator. I'll link it in the description. We also want to grab the TI Connect app. This will let us install stuff into the calculator. Okay, we're ready. Let's plug in our calculator. So the jailbreak is going to come in an 8xp file. Get familiar with this extension. It's basically the APKs of the calculator world. Anyways, we're just going to drag and drop that over to the calculator. Let's go check and see if it's installed. You're going to hit program and just hit enter 3 times. And if you see this, congrats, that's it, you're jailbroken. So now you should be able to install apps again. Okay, let's plug this back into the computer to install one more thing, CE libraries. This is a bunch of files that a lot of apps are going to need to actually run on your CE. Same thing, just drag and drop it into your calculator. Okay, now we're ready. Now the first thing you're going to want to install is a shell. Think of these like front ends, but for your calculator. Think like Emulation Station, or RetroArch, or Steam Big Picture Mode, but for your calculator. I'll leave links to a bunch of these in the description, don't worry. Navigating to your apps the normal way is kind of messy and not really intuitive, so a shell is going to help you put everything in one place with some added extra features built in. By the way, you install them exactly the same way as any other app, don't worry. Then you can launch them up by hitting Programs and launching it here. Now everyone has their own favorites, but I'm going to show you a few of the really popular ones, like Cesium. This one is most people's go-to. It gives a much cleaner layout to everything, and it's
crazy. Okay. I'm gonna finish this task and then start cleaning. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
A woman fires at what she thought was an intruder until she realizes she shot her husband.
I didn't know what else to do. I just grabbed the gun like he's always told me to.
But was this fatal shooting truly an
I
accident
didn't
or
do that.
a dangerous cover-up?
What you're saying, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
This is Inside the Crime, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. Before we get to this case, there's a reason Law and Crime is the go-to spot for true crime content. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm. They have more than 1,000 attorneys and have recovered $25 billion from more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. And in Pennsylvania, another client was awarded $26 million, 40 times the insurer's offer. Morgan & Morgan makes it so easy to fight for what you deserve. You can even start a claim from your phone. So if you're injured, you can start a claim at forthepeople.com/insidethecrime. Click the link below or scan the QR code on your screen. Now, from the very beginning, investigators saw red flags everywhere. Then they learned of an explosive fight that was the key to unlocking the truth. It's June 23rd, 2021. We're in Coweta County, Georgia. Around 7:30 that evening, a 911 call comes in. A woman claims in a terrible accident, she shot her husband. Deputies are dispatched to the home of Luke and Cheryl Coe. And inside the couple's bedroom, there was blood everywhere.
I'm pulling my gun, dude.
Sheriff's office!
Sheriff's office!
She told me to keep pressure on it,
Yes, keep
baby.
pressure on it. Keep pressure on it.
Is there anybody else here?
No, it's just us.
Sir.
Lay down, lay down.
I know.
Lay down, boy.
Baby, please,
Put that, yeah, keep that on there. Keep that on there. I know it hurts.
Did you tell him 1018? 172 911. We need 1018 EMS. 1018.
Dude, what the fuck are these people doing? EMS, of course there should have been an EMS on the way, bro. She said that she shot the guy. What the fuck are these weirdos doing?
He's having a hard time breathing already. He didn't go through and through it. When he High millimeter. It's over there. Yeah.
Let's get her out of here. Ma'am. Get her, man. Let's get her out of here, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey. We ain't got no tape, man.
Hey, ma'am, come out here. Okay, listen. If you can't do me a favor, you just have a seat right here. Have a seat. He's in good hands now, okay?
I think this will be best to get. You want to get her out here?
If y'all want to pull down here and give EMS access up here.
Luke is clinging to life as questions mounted on whether he'd survive his injuries. But the scene around him began to tell a different story than what Cheryl claimed.
Did you get what happened?
12 beer, right? So she had about 5 or 6 beers sitting on the back porch. He's been out in the shop. She had taken a medicine and laid down. He came in yelling about something, and she scared her, so she grabbed the gun and shot him. That doesn't explain why he's nude, and it doesn't explain
Anything. That makes no sense to me. You want me to fill it out or you want to get it?
It don't matter to me. In the bedroom. That's fine.
Oh, please.
Oh, we didn't even put the tape up, good. I got it right here, Doris. Okay.
Please help him.
Right there. I think. I don't know. Good enough. Or you mean son? Yeah. Oh, right here. No, that's Gabe. Okay.
Please help him. Please help him. Oh my God.
As uniformed Japanese.
Hey, Doris, can you grab that Crabsy tape on one of those rolls?
Ma'am, come over here. Come over here, ma'am.
Let's
You need to take her on out.
Yeah, let's go down by the trucks.
Come on.
Go down by the trucks.
Well, they're coming up now.
Hey, can y'all move? And I'll grab whatever we need.
You need me to move my car?
Come in with me.
No, we can't go in. We can't go in.
Where the hell
We cannot go in.
This is some of the worst acting I've ever seen.
We can't go in.
Probably what she sounds like when she's faking her orgasm.
Why don't you just have a seat over here? Just have a seat.
Oh, please. Why are they all out here?
No. No.
What? Why are they all out here? Where is he?
You want a chair? You want a chair?
Where is he?
What?
Where is he? Myself. So I listen about guns in the first by myself. We had a disagreement.
Okay.
He came home while I was on the porch yesterday, took his bike and loaded off and went away, and he didn't come home till after sometime after midnight. I don't know when.
Last night.
And I had my gun on the nightstand because I was here by myself. Both the kids have moved out, and I'm here by myself. And I don't even know if we have a key to these doors. He doesn't believe in locking doors. And
You don't keep this door locked at all?
no, not at all. He said he doesn't believe in it. So I don't even know where the keys are. I don't even know if we have a key to the house. We just got the house back from his ex-wife 2.5 years ago. Not even 2.5 years ago. I'm sorry, I have dry mouth syndrome, and my lips are sticking to my teeth.
You need a glass of water or something?
Please.
Dry mouth syndrome.
So, we were going to talk tonight, but he stayed out in the
What
shop.
we all disagreeing about?
We were disagreeing about something yesterday that had occurred,
Or having an affair.
has occurred before.
What? So with somebody else?
She's having an affair.
Somebody else involved?
Not particularly.
Okay.
So we hadn't talked. We didn't talk. He was asleep this morning when I left for work.
Were you all in the same bed or separate rooms?
We were in the same bed.
Okay. When you left at 6 this morning?
I left at 6:30 this morning.
6:30?
So I had to open the Women's Imaging Center.
Okay. And he was asleep?
And he was still asleep. We didn't talk all day. And he sent me a text at 3 o'clock and told me he was ready to talk. And I told him I wasn't sure if I was.